Hey, everybody out there in the interwebs land. It's Kristen Fagan and Christi Friesen here.
Hello.
With the next installment of the Great Bead Trade. So excited to be here with you all.
Yay, we're so excited. This is going to be great fun.
Yeah, we'll let everyone kind of get themselves settled and joining the fun here.
Oh, hang on, I need to mute something here. Hang on. Oh, you know what? Hang on, that's me. Sorry. Stop. I think I cannot, even if I mute it, I can't seem to mute our live feed. Oh dear. I wonder if there's a way around that. I'm not seeing a button to stop. Nope. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to read comments after all, Kristen. I really wanted to, but it just, I've got my phone in, but it can't mute the live, so.
I wonder, sometimes that's just the way it rolls, right? So what we'll do is I'll see comments here and I'll hide. Can you see when I highlight something? So
I can see nothing because on my phone, actually I'm seeing a little bit of a chat there. Like it says hi from Kimberly, says hi Christy and all. So I think if they're commenting through StreamYard, I can see it. So that's good.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I just highlighted that one and it kind of popped up for you. So when I see something that, maybe we want to chat about, I'll just pop it in there. And
that's great. That's a lot of work on you, Kristen. Thank you. I feel like I'm being very useless, but I'm also glad that you're doing all the hard work. So thanks.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, hi everybody. We're so happy to be playing with you. So
Lydia says that's okay. Sarah and Cynthia didn't pay attention to comments either.
It's funny. I'm used to doing the live chats. Oh, I see there, Lydia. And I'm usually just on my one screen directly into the group and I can see the chats, but we're being all technology.
Yeah, so we're being a little fancier. And, every time you try out new technology, there's always something else you have to kind of adjust to. So we will roll with it and make it work. So, hey, everybody. So we are here.
Rolling with it is going to be our theme, right, Kristen?
Yes, actually, it is. You guys will hear a little more about how Kristen and Christy are rolling with it today.
We are so rolling with it. But anyway, I'm interested in you. You're going to tell us about this wonderful kit.
So we're really excited. So what this is, if you're just turning in, this is the Great Bead Trade. It's a little offshoot of our Great Bead Extravaganza group. A few of us got together and put together this fun little package of goodies. And then we're pairing up. You had Sarah and Cynthia before us, me and Christy, and then we have let me pull up the schedule for the rest of the day.
Combos. It's really fun to see how people bounce off each other.
Yeah, it totally is. So we already had Sarah and Cynthia. You can go watch the replay of that in the Great Bead Extravaganza group or Facebook page. Me and Christy are up now, and then you'll have Nile and Jill at 2 p.m. Pacific time, Tracy and Kay at 3:15 Pacific time, and Andrew and Jamie at 4:30 Pacific time. And so you're in for a lot of treats. We're all working from the same package. We're going to open this up and see what it is that we create with its contents. And everyone has their own offer going on. So let me just pop that up.
Yeah.
So what we have going on here is if you shop any of our shops, use the coupon TGBT, and then these are the list of the offers from each of the individual companies. You will be entered to win one of these Great Bead Trade prize packages. We have 4 to give away. So everyone that shops throughout this weekend, I think most shop deals end on Sunday, May 15th. You'll be entered to possibly win one of these extra kits. So really fun.
Yeah, they are. And it's just so exciting to everybody have to work out of the same bag of goodies. But all of us were like amazed to have our bags come and dump it out and then see for the first time what everybody has put together. So that was exciting.
Yeah. So we had a theme. Our theme was Very Perry, which is the Pantone color of the year. And it's really fun to see how everyone interpreted that theme and the items that they sent along. So
I love periwinkle, don't you? I mean, that's like one of my.
It's such a great color.
It is gorgeous.
It's a color you don't think about often, but I think it's one of those colors when you do see it, it kind of stops you, right? Because you're like, ooh,
this every day, you know, it is. It's so vibrant, and yet it's hiding over in the shadows half the time. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a really fun color. I think it was a great color of the year, and I'm excited to play with it. And even since I sneak peeked at it, it's just like you're just gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So I think what I'll do now, Christi,
that is such a cute little bag.
Isn't that cute? Side by side, or miles apart, friends are always close to heart. And that just speaks volumes for, I think, our group, our little collaboration group, our group with all of you out there, and this project. You know, it just really is a full circle kind of message for what we're doing here today.
Truly. Because none of us are in the same spot, but yet here we are together, you know, not only with everybody watching us, but as co-presenters, we're all get to be together through the magic of the interweb. So I love that.
Oh, it is magic. So I'm going to go ahead and change our view and kind of give this little package an opening. And now Christi is usually over across the water from us. In Hawaii.
Right. I'm in a weird, as you guys can tell, I'm actually wearing clothing, which is not usual for me. I usually have the barest amount of clothing on. So
You're not wearing your signature tank top today.
Right. I have to actually wear sleeves because I'm in Oregon and it's still Oregon-y out there. You can see behind me, I'm in a little Airbnb. And here's the thing, while Kristen's getting all that ready to kind of go through each of it, I'll give you my little happy story. So I was scheduled to leave on Thursday to be back in my studio today so I could do this with you guys. And my grandson, who's 7, is like, can't you stay longer? And both my son and daughter-in-law are like, yeah, why don't you stay longer? Well, like, I'm staying longer. So I gave it a momentary thought thinking, oh, well, shit. I mean, oops. All my stuff is back in Hawaii. Can I get my brother to overnight it? Because we were deciding this, you know, like on Wednesday or something. And it's like, well, even overnight in Hawaii is 2 days. It's just isn't ever overnight. I'm like, I can't get it here on time. So I like, Kristen, I got an idea. How about if I just do little drawing of some of the pieces in the kit, because then they can see them with you. But I'm going to talk a lot about design and composition and stuff, and we'll use our little cutouts and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, Kristen was very game to go, yeah, no problem. We're going to do our doing things together without you actually doing things. So that's really very kind of her. And I made sure that I did not tell anybody else in the Great Bead Extravaganza group so that nobody would be like, what? Because now it's too late. It's happening.
Right. It's happening. We're just making
that's my story. And you can oh, one more little bit, sorry. Is also I didn't bring any of my like clamps or any way to hold my camera. So I just posted up in the Great Bead Extravaganza group the little picture of my stupid setup. So I've stolen a lamp from the B&B. I've wrapped my camera around it. We're going to hope that it does transition properly. I have a loaf of raisin bread holding up my second camera phone, which didn't end up working, but it was ready. And that's my great tech setup. So anyway, go ahead, Kristen.
Oh my gosh. A loaf of raisin bread. That's hysterical.
Unfortunately, I can't like do it without the volume shouting at me. So I can't even use that great bit of technology setup that I'm doing this out.
I love raisin bread. Raisin bread is something that I actually don't have it in the house very often these days, but as a kid, it was like my favorite toast in the morning was raisin bread. Right?
It's been ages.
I need more of it in my life.
Yeah, it's like periwinkle blue. It's always great, but you forget about it somehow.
Raisin bread is just like periwinkle blue. Oh my gosh. So that's our first little tidbit of Christi and I rolling with
that down.
Today.
That'll be on the quiz. What color is raisin bread?
What color is it? That's funny. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
We'll have to have a quiz, all the different ways we rolled with it.
that's rolling with it, number one.
Rolling with it, number one. All right, so I'm going to open up a few things and just share what's in this package. I've got some craft wire from Softlex Company in silver plated color. This is 20.
That's fantastic. What size is that? What gauge?
22 gauge. So it's a nice all-purpose kind of wrapping size. Yeah. And then we've got our tanzanite color beading wire, which is the closest we've got to a periwinkle blue over at Softlex Company.
Which really works because tanzanite gets those purple flashes in there. It really is a periwinkle color, isn't it?
Yeah. It kind of is. I feel like it works. It's not quite as maybe purpley, but honestly, when I'm looking at some of these beads here, it just it works perfectly. Let's see what else we got here.
It's such good stuff. I was curious to see, and maybe you noticed it too, Kristen, that almost everybody paired, if they were going to use a metal, paired it with silver.
Yeah, almost. I think the only one that had gold is K here. So K.
Yeah, and I did a little hint of gold as well. So I guess Kay and I are gold girls, is what we're saying. Everybody else kind of went
representing the golden girls right there. And
I love it.
I was unsure of what this was too, this little sticker. But I guess from watching the first video, I guess Kay likes to put all sorts of random stickers on her bags. So this is just like a cute little random sticker. And I think it's really fun.
Clay, that would make a great little texture stamp, just pressing your clay into that and getting the pattern off of that. So that could be double up as a little tool. That's nice.
A little fun thing for epoxy clay. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I'll open up what Kay sent some really pretty sparkle.
Yeah, really great crystals. Some nice big chunky ones. Here's my philosophy, Kristen, and I think you could agree with me, is that life is too short not to surround yourself with crystals, and the bigger and the shinier, the better, is what I'm thinking.
That is a good.
Like, look at the size of that sucker. That is awesome.
That is a good philosophy.
I like that. I like that.
Deanna's saying, well, if you can't prop up your equipment with it, you can always eat it. Yes, that's a win, right? So it's still a silver lining or a golden lining.
It's always how you get your brain wrapped around it, right? It always is. Oh, man. Because, it's funny. I had my second phone with me. So it's like, great. I'll be able to just talk to everybody. It's like sometimes things go weird. Okay, those Rivolis. Now, I really love Rivolis. When I first started out using polymer clays and stuff, I never used crystals much, but somewhere along the line, I got introduced to them and I'm like, oh my gosh. And Rivolis, I think, are one of my absolute favorites because they're just so in your face.
Yeah, I'm excited to probably use something like this with your epoxy sculpt clay, Christy, because
they are so great for epoxy clay. I mean, if you don't already have a collection of Rivolis and chatons and like flat back, rhinestones, just start for epoxy clay because they are just so wonderful to use. All of it.
This is a great periwinkle color.
Look at that color. That is gorgeous. Oh, I love that.
So pretty. I don't know that I wouldn't know what to do with Rivolis otherwise. I think you put them in like cabochons maybe and stuff like that too.
I imagine that there's probably like jewelry settings where you can drop them in. And it's a prong situation. You can just grab them like a gem. But, that's
like a whole nother thing that I'm not really in that world.
Something. I love those little bits. But, since I cheat and use epoxy clay and create whatever pendant situation just by jamming everything into this glue putty.
Just stuffing it in. I love it. Just stuff it right in.
I don't have to sew anything. I don't have to crimp properly, although I can. But I don't have to. I can just be just shoving it in, which I love.
So that's our gorgeous little sparkle from Kay over at Stars.
I love that you put gold accents. That speaks to me. Thank you.
It's a good one. And then we've got this gorgeous butterfly from Andrew and William over at Allegory Gallery. One of their little cut up.
I hadn't thought about that. If I can barge in like I keep doing, Kristen, I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Something like part of what I was thinking is when you get kits and things like this, and sometimes we buy kits because we just love them, and you get something where you love it. Like let's say you looked at that butterfly and you went, my goodness, I love this pendant, but I really am working with the purples and this pink doesn't work. It's like that's when you get creative. And since both of us are painters, I don't know about you, but my mind immediately goes to like, I could drop some alcohol ink on that, little, little bloops to turn some purples in there. So you're never like stuck with what you have. You can always do something to it and make it into something different. You can cover it with, epoxy, not epoxy, resin, and put colors on top of it and make something completely different. You could take the butterfly, mix up your epoxy clay, and shove it in, and the gush that comes up in the middle you can fill with crystals. I mean, like there's always something you can do.
I mean, who doesn't want a crystal gush, right?
It's the new trend is what I'm saying.
Crystal gushes for everybody.
Crystal gush is going on my list, and that's going to become a thing. We're going to have Crystal Gush Day. So that's now, thank you, Kristen. That is a name for that.
So funny. Lydia is saying you can bead around Rivolis with Delica beads. Oh, that's
and make a like a bezel in a sense with the Delica. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen that. That looks fantastic.
That's always really lovely. That's just like, oh my. We're getting a lot of raisin talk in here too, which is pretty funny. Loves raisins. People are getting hungry.
So what you want to do is you want to get yourself a very full-bodied tea with a little honey in there, some cream. Then you get that raisin toast, slather it with butter, like so much butter. And if it's not sweet enough, tiny little spritz of cherry jam. I'm just saying.
Very nice.
Now I love
tartness of the cherries.
Is this?
This is Cynthia Thornton of
Cynthia. Studios. I love everything she makes.
I know. This is so fun.
I love that.
This can go so many different ways. I mean, it's just one of those things that you can make it into tassels coming out the bottom. You can have things kind of coming in multiple strands on either side.
The crystal bush with that one as well.
Yeah, you can definitely do a crystal gush with this one. Just smush it right down onto. It could be a wonderful place for putting stuff with it, keeping a frame of sorts, I guess, for your clay. So just smash it right in there.
Oh, and you know what else would look really good? Like, let's say you set that down into epoxy clay. If you add a little ball of epoxy clay to the center, you can then place that Rivoli that in that center, and that looks really fun too. That just kind of pops it and gives it right. How nice is that?
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to do that. Well, that makes me. This idea makes me feel better about not being able to do my original idea.
Roll with it number two, Kristen. Tell us the story.
Roll with it number two. Okay, so before I move on to the next thing, so here I am. I don't like to just show up because I am a bit of a slow beater. I know Cynthia said that a little bit too today. So I was like, oh, I'm with you, girl. Not only that, but I tend to put stuff together, take it apart, put it together, take it apart. And so I peeked and I looked at all of this stuff this week and I came up with a little idea. And then I'm watching Sarah, my dear friend Sarah.
But throw you under the bus, Sarah.
Just threw me under the bus. And she started creating a piece that was so similar to what I thought I was going to do today that I just have to I was like, that's it. I have to just throw it out. I can't even, it's just too, which is super funny because Sarah and we joke that we share a brain. And so
obviously, yes. And it's funny because Kristen, you and I were chatting a little bit while Kristen's so nice to have all this, the tech squared away. And so we had a few minutes to chat a bit and she was telling me that. And it's like, that's really interesting because it reminds us that, there's only so many ways to put things together. And there's always going to be somebody who does something like you accidentally. It just happens. And you're a painter, I'm a sculptor, and this just happens when you're painting. There's only so many ways to do a flower, right?
Right.
You know, like that's what you were telling me is like, you know, a daisy's a daisy. It's going to look similar if you're using a similar material, and same with beads. So it's a good thing to be reminded of, right?
Oh my gosh, so funny. Sarah said the perk of going first. I mean, you just looped over that silver silk onto Christie's. Here, I'll pull out Christie's thing first, and I was like, "Oh no, she didn't." And then she started adding more stuff to it, and I was like, "Oh no, she didn't."
Oh, that's so funny, Sarah. That is funny. Oh man.
Oh, so here is Christie's gorgeous polymer clay piece that she included, and Sarah did a fabulous design where she started with.
So amazing. I love to see I'm really excited to see what everybody does with everybody's stuff, but especially this because it could go in so many different directions. I was really happy to that.
Yeah. So Andrew says the way she said, Sarah, watch out, girl. You danger, girl.
There's going to be a reckoning, Sarah. Just know it. Just know it.
So pretty. Well, here, I even printed a picture of what I was originally going to do. And this will show. So for those of you that caught the first show, take a look at
that.
That
is so funny. Oh my gosh.
So now there are some differences, but all in all, it had a very similar
that is wild
idea. So
I love that. And I really love the silver silk wrapped around my little ring there. I love that.
That's what she did. The first thing she did was take the silver silk out and wrap it around your ring. And I was like, oh no.
Oh man. And you know, speaking of rolling with it, let's go to roll with it number 3. Now, as I mentioned, like at the beginning, like I noticed that I picked up some gold accents, as did Kay, but everybody else went silver, including the silver silk, which is this gorgeous. I think you're going to showcase that now. It's this gorgeous silver with it's almost like opalescent stuff inside, right?
Yeah, it has like a rainbow tinsel. So it's got like
love that. That is so gorgeous.
better.
So what do you do to roll with it if you get this little bead from me, you know, this ring, and it's got golden accents, but you really don't want to mix your metal colors and you've got silver. So this is a roll with it thing is that all you've got to do is just swipe right over the gold with silver or opalescent. And there's a number of ways to do that. And Kristen, since you're a painter, you might even have other ways here, but like my first go-to on a polymer piece is acrylic paint, of course. You can use that. And I use my finger to swipe over the highlights so that I'm not getting it down in all the cracks and everything.
Yeah. You know, your fingers are such great tools. And I do find that when you're trying to just cover a little bit of texture and you don't want it to get in all the little crevices, like doing it with your finger makes so much better. So much sense.
It's not that you can do it, it's that you should do it with your finger. It's the tool for that. Isn't it?
It's the way, it's the tool to use.
Yeah. But I mean, you can just completely coat any of those things with something else if you needed to change the color. If it didn't work, we talked about alcohol inks. You know, there's Gilder's paste that you can use. You can tint resin and pour it over. I mean, there's lots of ways to change things up.
Yeah, I've never used that Gilder's paste. I know that Andrew's mentioned that product.
Right. I tend to use Swelling It, obviously, because that's my product line, and I can use it in the same way as Gilder's paste, and then I can patina it. So I go there. But a lot of people have that, so either way is going to work great. But I love Neely's that tinsel color. It's just so wonderful.
It's awesome. And then, of course, we've got these great little component pieces to put on the end of your silver silk.
Aren't they? Just clink, done.
They just, you just snap them on, smash them on there. And Cynthia showed how you can cover them with a little cloth. And then I like to use either a nylon tipped tool, or I have some tools that are coated. This one's a really old tool. I gotta fix it up, but it's coated in Tool Magic, and that's always nice.
Now that's good to remember, because otherwise you're getting those little tool impressions on the edges of your piece, which is going to take away from the professional look of it. Like, I think that's a nice thing to think about, is that as you're making stuff, one of the things beyond designing, which we're talking about here together, but also is just the professional aspect of making your work look good. Like your jump rings are back together, your ends are clean, you know, nothing's like wobbly and off center, you know, that you're just making it look as pro from a technical standpoint as you can. And having tools like that, that's not going to leave marks, is one of those ways of doing that.
Makes it, you know, it's like, comes back to when you've got good tools and you've got good, it makes everything a little bit easier, right?
Oh, you were showing the Tiara cast stuff there, Tiara cast stuff. From a standpoint of the jeweler, of course, it's fabulous, but from a person who uses epoxy clay all the time, it is so great to embed in stuff. Like you can clip off the ring end if you don't want that, or bend it and embed it down.
And then you just got a beautiful little piece.
These wonderful little bits and pieces to add. It's really nice.
Yeah. And then, so those are from our friends at Tiara Cast. Beautiful, always lovely. And then we've got this great mixed bag from Jill McKay.
Hey, Jill.
So fun. So we've got this great button.
Yeah, she went very Southwest Native American feel to this, huh?
Yeah, she did. And this little guy, I mean, this thing is really cute. I got to figure something out. This is what I had in my original idea.
About that dude, because obviously I am always looking at everything to imagine more like wall piece or covering on a vessel or something other than jewelry. It seems like that's where I go with these things. So when I looked at that, I love the two little, like those, you know, those wobbly guys that are always in front of buildings, like, you know, today your cell phone. So that reminded me of that. That was like the first.
They do kind of look like that. But, you know, but then they totally look like that. They're like getting your attention outside, and they're
I'm sure they have deep significance culturally. So I don't mean to step on the cultural significance, but they just remind me of those wobbly guys, which are fun. But you know what else I thought when I was looking at them? Is just the way they're like that. It makes me feel like a garden, which I think, are you picking out those little flowers?
I am. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
love
those flowers.
So
for some reason, those really spoke to me with the googly guys. And I thought, I like everything about it except for that little bar in the middle wasn't doing anything for me. Obviously,
this little one right here.
Yeah. If you like it, you're allowed to like it. I just like, first thing I do is try to cut that sucker off. But if that doesn't work, if I'm putting it and embedding it into epoxy clay,
you can cover it up.
Doesn't matter. The nice thing is I can take another wad of epoxy clay and just go right over and hide that. And then I thought, what fun it would be to just sort of have them be like, they're helping this garden grow, and take all of those little beads, put a ball tip silver head pin in them, and press them in. So now you've got like this garden all around the sides of them, and in that middle section where that weirdness was, where it's just like a garden of growing for some mysterious reason that I don't know why, but they just look like they're gardeners.
Yeah.
So
that's so funny. I don't know if they're like two smaller little people in there.
I don't know. It's probably something really cool. And if somebody to explain it, it would be like, oh, that, of course. But it's like, my first thing was like, let's get rid of that. You know,
so this was kind of, I was having a moment with this too, because I was like, I really dig it, but why are they upside down if I was going to hang it from this direction, you know, and, you know, what's going on there? And at first I said, well, I still like the shape. I'll just go for it. But then I realized on my desk, I pick a tarot card for the month. And this is my tarot card for this month.
Oh my goodness.
Which is the Hanged one. And it's all about choosing to take a new perspective. And I was like, oh
my gosh.
Look at this.
Wow. Now that is interesting.
So now it gave this little piece that I was kind of struggling with why it was upside down a whole new meaning after I realized that I had this card, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's really funny. Now this could be like my new perspective. Little charm.
Great idea. You know, it's so cool that way. And I think, don't you think that that's one of the reasons why making yourself work out of a kit that someone else puts together is really valuable? Like many of the people here in the Great Bead Extravaganza group sell kits. I've got kits on my site. I'm sure you do. I know Andrew does. Jamie, I know most everybody does. So getting this kit and like being like, well, here's the things I can work with. Like you challenge yourself, just use these things. But it makes you kind of reimagine, like you just did. All right, I got this thing that I wouldn't have chosen myself, but now I have it. What the heck can I do with it? And start thinking of different ways. So your rolling with it was really great. Mine was just destroy it and do whatever I wanted with it.
You're like, get that out of there.
So I don't know what that says about both of us, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And somebody's asking what card deck I'm using, and I want to show it because she's actually a friend of mine. She lives here in Arizona.
That's really cool. I bet my daughter-in-law would like that. She really enjoys a lot of that thing, and I've never seen that Journey Tarot for personal growth.
Yeah, it just came out last year, I think, and she's written a few books and stuff too. Her name is Cassie Ewell. You can go visit her at cassieewell.com. And but it's a beautiful tarot deck, and it's very inclusive. So that's something that I really, really love about it. Like the artwork that's in there, there's some really inclusive drawings in there, and it just feels good to use.
Do you like sell any tarot decks on your own? Because I know you've got a group that deals with some of this metaphysical. What do you call it? Mystical, metaphysical? What angle do you come from on that when you describe it?
I just I don't really call it anything. But yeah, I do use a lot of tools and rituals and metaphysical kind of things in my, I guess I just call it like creative healing and things like that, where you can take the creative process and just dig a little deeper and really focus in on the healing aspect, kind of like what I did today. Because when you find a piece like this and then you're not really sure where it connects, and then all of a sudden you make the connection to this, and now it's got a very different feeling, and it feels like, oh, this is a good reminder of what I'm supposed to be thinking about this month,
in a different way. Yeah. I think that's really cool, because sometimes, again, like, to me, this is the value of all this stuff, no matter what your personal belief system is that everything has ideas, symbology, and different iconic things that help you think about life in different ways. And those are all like so valuable, and you can take it to whatever extent is your personal journey. But it's really fun to see because they've been around as long as humans have been around. So it's really nice. And if your jewelry can help reinforce your own mental health, personal growth, I mean, how nice is that? It's like a constant, almost like a talisman. You're wearing a thing that helps you remember something that's important to you in your life.
Exactly. I love when things have that double meaning. It could be beautiful and it could be an adornment, but it can also have something a little bit deeper to remind you of. And I just love when creativity, makes that connection, and you can use it as a way to get to know yourself a little bit more deeply and get to know your surroundings a little bit more deeply. And just as
Kristen, I was just talking to I love my daughter-in-law. She's amazing. And we've been just kind of sitting and chatting today during our errands and our runnings around. And that was one of the things that we were just talking about, is like, well, what's the point of knowing yourself better? Because sometimes you get so up in your own head. It's like, what the heck? But part of it is just like, you can't really know what you need to be happy until you know yourself. So that part of the journey is very important. So, and I have to say that you probably are not going to be able to completely make amazing thing, because we're talking so much about other things. But I feel like it's kind of a valuable thing, right? Because, we're talking about the idea of creating, the idea of putting things together, and why and how we do it. So now you're playing with that bead from Jamie, right? Her buddy.
Yes. So I'm playing with this gorgeous bead from Calvin Orr, which is just a stunner.
It is. That was gorgeous. I was looking forward to using that.
Yeah. So now I think, it was on my table, something that I wanted to use, and it didn't make it into my original design idea. Right. So I thought, well, maybe I'll work it into something else right now instead.
And that's nice with that soft flex tanzanite wire. That's a nice way of almost invisibly connecting the two, which is neat.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I want to I might add some beads in here. I haven't decided yet. I just wanted to see how they kind of felt together.
And you were telling me, you were telling all of us earlier that you have that tendency of like, you work and rework, and material. Like for me, when I'm working, excuse me, epoxy clay, you don't have a whole lot of time for reworking. So you kind of either have to be very confident in your spur of the moment choices, which not everybody is, or you have to do like you did, designing ahead. And while
Yes.
you're creating there, please interrupt me anytime you want to tell people. But while you're creating, you're kind of reworking the design as you go. And with beads and this material that's not drying, you've got all the time in the world to do that. There's no prizes for speed. Oh, I like that.
Isn't that cute? How it just kind of
really nice. That fits in the hole there really nicely. I like that.
Cute. I feel like that color like really brings out the little bits of the periwinkle or tanzanite that's in the bead that you might not have seen without adding that there, right?
And honestly, I love just that little tanzanite naked wire being there. Like it would look good with beads too, but I kind of love it. Just like I'm a wire, I don't care. You just have to deal with me. I think that's kind of nice.
Right. Well, one of the things that you mentioned, which I wanted to touch upon too, was you had said, what is the point of getting to know yourself better, And then you went on to say, not knowing, having to work quickly, and it's sometimes tough for people to make decisions. Well, that's one way that I have learned to get to know myself better and knowing more about what I enjoy and what I like versus just going along with what everybody else is thinking. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just here for the ride. But when I get to know myself more deeply, I know how to make choices for myself that resonate with who I am and what I want. And I used to be very like, oh, whatever you want to do, whatever we want to, and not making those decisions. And so, and
that is fascinating, Kristen. And that kind of brings up that whole healing aspect of being an artist, right? Because that's one of the things people wouldn't think about, is that having to make decisions creatively is helping you understand yourself better. I never would have made that connection, but that's quite fascinating. That is really interesting.
Yeah, because I think it's like
colors you like, what combinations do you like, bold, you like chunky. After a while, it's like you might make the pattern just because you're with a group that's making that pattern, but you might be like, well, you know what? I don't really like this pattern. I want to do it a different way. And that really is sort of revelatory, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that, when I wasn't as clear as to what my own desires were, I wasn't very good at speaking up for myself because I didn't trust my own voice. Yeah. Right. So then you kind of get in the space of, well, or you start to speak up for yourself and someone shoots you back down. And I just didn't know how to get myself going again. And I feel like getting to know who you are at a more deeper level through creativity is my, way of wanting to do that.
That's really fascinating. I like that.
That's you get stronger. Your voice gets stronger. Your ideas get stronger. And then I can back them up in a way that doesn't feel like I'm dismissing myself.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because I think depending on what our background is and our various childhood and environment and everything else, we can be hard on ourselves. We can be dismissive of our own choices. We can be overly accommodating. So it's finding that non-aggressive way of being strong. That I think, right. Sometimes you have to be more forceful, but for the most part, if you can find a way to be who you are without impacting on whoever anybody else is, that's valuable. And a lot of people struggle with that.
For sure.
Trying to figure out how to do that. Okay, let me see what you got. I really like that. That looks really neat.
Well, before I jump into that, I want to see, there's a couple of comments here, and I want to just sort of, since I know you can't see comments, I want to see what we've got going on here.
We're just doing all the things.
Let's see. Love Christy's healing process. And our conversation sounds like the Creative Nurturing Day, which I know is something that you do that's really fantastic.
Yeah. I'll plug that here in a minute.
Yeah. Cindy says, I like to call that belonging to oneself. Ooh.
I like that. Belonging is a good word. It's got there's a lot of extra fuzzies going on with that word. Isn't it? Because belonging carries weight to it. That's neat. Good one. Yeah.
And we're always looking to belong, right? That's a big part of what we, as a human race, is we want that belonging. So when you can belong to yourself, that feels really juicy.
That is like lizard brain basic DNA hardwiring stuff, that belonging thing. So when you can satisfy it within yourself, even, that is huge. So nice.
Sarah says these flower beads from Jill McKay are awesome. She's still over here using them. They are. They're
they really are. That's part of the check glass stuff, right? And we have had our trendsetters. So I'm going to do a little shout out for our TGBE group, because we all got together and we thought about it, and like, without being arrogant about it, more so than is necessary, we realized that we have an awful lot of industry knowledge among us. We're coming from different perspectives. We've all been to the shows. We've been in the inside of our industry. That, we not only follow trends and are aware of trends, but we kind of are trendsetters ourselves. So we started a thing in the TGBE group called the Trendsetter. And each month we're like focusing on a new thing that we feel are very trend worthy of notice. And the first one we did was the check glass, because that check glass concept, especially the check glass flowers and leaves specifically, I mean, it's got such a history on it, and they have had such lasting power because they are timeless. And as you can see, I mean, the color pops, glass has its own tactile awesomeness. You cannot do a bad design using check glass flowers. You really just can't. So they're
beautiful, and they're very consistent too, which is really lovely to be designed with.
Why? I mean, obviously there's various kinds of check glass, but I was doing a little research about it. Is that the whole that whole valley where a lot of that check glass is coming from has had a history of making things out of glass. But there was a movement, I don't have all the facts about it, so you can Google it, but there was a movement where, to modernize the production of glass, there was a company or two who started making these little glass molds, out of metal, but to make the glass, you blop your glass in, you press it, and boom, the bead comes out, and it took skill because you had to put the right amount of glass in and press it just right. But that's basically, these are very old molds, many of them, that are still in production. A lot of it's cottage industry, where they're just, a lot of these small cottage industry are then selling it to Jablonix and some of the big guys, but they're all being made, in this sort of very early kind of mechanization with this mold to press them out and all be identical. But it's kind of cool, isn't it? And that was sort of revolutionary at the time, because people weren't doing that. So now you could suddenly produce a number of glass beads that all looked great without the kind of hand forming them one at a time, which is why check glass just went nuts, because they were cheaper, they were accessible, they were everywhere. And it's just like, even now, 100 years later, we're benefiting from that.
For sure. I mean, it's a fascinating process, and thank you so much for sharing that knowledge with us.
I just did a little research on it for that Trendsetter. I was like, okay, it's a trend, but why? Why is it?
Right.
Like, whoa, look at this knowledge.
So, Christy, do you want to share a little bit more of what you're doing over there, rolling with it?
Well, you know what? Honestly, like Kristen and I talked about this, and part of me not having anything to design with is that I drew little drawings of all the little guys, and I colored them and cut them out with the idea that maybe I can lay them out and sort of like, what if I put it here? What if I put it there? But you know what? I'm feeling like, we only have 15 minutes left of our time.
I know.
I'm feeling like all the things I want.
How does it go so fast?
What? You're stressed?
No, I said, how does it go so fast?
Oh, good. In fact, we're stressed because this has been such fun. But that was sort of my point, is talking about design and stuff. And many of the things that I had in my head to talk about, we've been talking about them. And it's really fun, I think, to sort of watch you make what you're making and then have our conversation. So what I'll probably do is when I get home to my studio, I'll play with some stuff from the kit and I'll post a few things. But I'm really quite content to just.
I mean, I really would love. You guys have to see some of these. You have to see some of these drawings that you made, though. You showed me that one; it was so cute. Can I spotlight?
This is
here, we gotta
as a drawing. Isn't that so
look at
cool?
that.
Like, look at that out of the way. And then this is the little goobery guys. Aren't they? Oh, I gotta get my hand out of the way so it can focus.
Oh, I love it. It's so cute.
Some of the, and this is, I'll show you. These are you got to see this. This is two-dimensional rivolis.
Oh.
But thank you, Kristen, for I thought that's what I wanted to do and just flip over. But I think the act of me, because I'm on this whole lamp where I have to spin it over and twist it and go downwards. And I thought, you know what? The chances of me ruining everything are fairly high. And it's not really that necessary because I'd rather watch your hands big and see what you're doing while I philosophize about, the concepts of design, because I love that. So I think all in favor of just let's go back to Kristen's hands again while we talk off on the side. I think everybody would prefer that, Thank you. Because I think it's great. And then I'll just have my comments as we go. But one of the things I think is so important that Kristen already brought up is that if you are the kind of person who finds relaxing, stimulating joy from designing on the fly, which I'm that person. I have no pressure with going top clock is ticking, make something awesome. That is really exciting and fun for me. But for many people, it's or you could shoot me now and put me out of my misery. So do a thing that's not comfortable for you. So Kristen's idea of sort of looking at it ahead of time, kind of playing with a few things, I love that. And I had a corollary to that this might be helpful. When I was sitting here talking with Michelle, I got a certain amount of joy from taking the components of the kit and doing these little sketch versions because I love drawing and sketching. Which
so cute. And when she first mentioned it to me, I was like, yeah, that sounds great. But I was like, how are you going to do that? And then when you showed me that first one before we went live, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest.
And this is what okay, I got to show you this because I thought this was really cute. So that little glass bead is here, but then I also did a side view because I wasn't sure which angle I would use in a design. I want to have both. Something I would mention to people is that if you, as Kristen mentioned, really want to kind of try out a few things before you jump into it, especially with epoxy clay. And anybody who's not familiar with using epoxy clay, I've done epoxy clay projects on many of our great Bead Extravaganza things. I also have a YouTube channel that's got epoxy clay stuff. Crystal, you know about how fun that is. You probably have some YouTube.
So fun. I mean,
it's a two-part putty. Once you mix it, you have about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours on the outside of working time where you can stick things in it. And then it starts getting harder and harder, and it's fully cured in 24 hours. So you do have a bit of a time limit if you're using it as a thing to stick things in. But that's what I was envisioning of all these components. How would I mash them into epoxy clay, and what would I do with them? But I thought if you want to draw them out like I did, and then cut them out, as we're looking at, cut out the little pieces, then you have the leisure of taking a piece of paper and sketching out okay, here's my necklace form. What if I put this here? What if I put it over here? What if I added these? You can start playing with it, and you have the joy of doodling along with the designing thing. But if that's not your jam, then what I would suggest is that you lay the components out of your kit on your table, and you take a picture or two, and then print them out and cut them out. Because then they're all the right size proportionately. They're exactly what they should be. And you can start maneuvering them around until you come up with something that amuses you. If that is a nice tool to make you feel confident in your designing.
Exactly. And, there's some mediums that make sense, like this particular medium, epoxy clay. You have to work quickly for it to be, and so sometimes it is good to say, okay, I'm forced to kind of just make decisions and make it happen. that sometimes can be a good thing.
Yeah, with beading, you don't have to, but if you get frustrated by putting a whole strand together and then going, oh no, and taking it all apart, if that's frustrating to you, then you can still utilize this when you're making a piece of jewelry. It still is a really valuable tool. It's a little bit more time consuming, but especially if you've got, some really special pieces and you really kind of want to envision how they might look, then that's a really good roll with it thing, because you're just kind of rearranging it before you even start doing a thing.
If you're someone like Christy, where you're traveling and you don't have all of your beads at your beck and call, but you do want to think about, I have this idea and I want to see if it would work. Don't have my beads. Now I can just draw a few of them out and see how they feel together in a different way.
Actually, I love that you said that, because personal story, you know, like in 2019, I had a very major life change. And I thought, well, the best thing to do would be run away from my problems for a year. So I'm going to do a year-long teaching tour where I just go from one country to the next. And I did. I spent the whole year, went to Japan and Australia and Tasmania and all over Europe and just everywhere. And it was wonderful. It was exactly what I needed. But the stress of it is that all my studio went into storage. And I did not have access. Like when I touched down and taught, there was some materials to play with because things were sent ahead to each of the places I was going. But it wasn't the same as just sitting down with your stuff. But one thing I had was my sketchbooks that I could constantly, whenever I had an idea, sort of sketch that thing out. And then later when I get home, I've got all those notebooks full of little ideas on the road that I can explore more fully.
I don't think I have my little sketchbook over at my desk here, but the other thing, because we were talking about in the beginning, how sometimes you make something and then somebody else makes something very similar to you, just like Sarah and I did today, where I didn't copy Sarah by any means. She didn't copy me. Neither of us knew what was happening, but we still came up with very similar ideas. And one of the things that I found is when I see an idea that I like, and then I sketch it in my sketchbook, and then I work from my sketch to create the final piece, it gives a little separation from the original idea. And so your final idea is closer to you than maybe it would have been had you not done that step in the middle.
That is a great point, Kristen. I like that. Because you're right. It's like you're editing as you put something down based on your own preferences. And then it's one step even removed from that. So the chances of it being a bit more unique on the other end is much greater. That's a good point.
Thanks. It's like a game of telephone, right? The more renditions you have till you get to your final destination.
From the original inspiration. That is a great idea. And, you know, I also wanted to have just a little shout out just about the concept of inspiration is like, we all need to get over ourselves a little bit. Nothing's new. The best you can ever hope for is a unique take on something, you know? But I mean, it's like everybody's painted, carved. I mean, you go back and look at early man's arranging of necklaces and stuff. It's like, oh, I know that technique. And, you know, and it's 10,000 years old or whatever. We're humans. We do the same kind of human-y things. So we can't get too hung up on, you know, feeling like you need to be unique all the time because it's impossible. But what you can be is true to yourself, like you found out there. You can be experimental, you can be playful, and you can be appreciative of the journey of creating, regardless of the end product. It's about the making. Having something when you're done that you like is huge. That's a great payoff. But if you had fun making it, even if the end result is garbage, it was still a valuable thing because you
100%. 100%. The process is where the value comes in for you. You know, that's where you really get to the point where the creativity process makes its magic, right? Is on
like for speaking of magic, am I seeing correctly that you have made the flowers go uphill, then you have that beautiful visual break, and then they go downhill?
Yes. You did.
I love that. That's a great way of mixing up like visual textures without it being competitive, you know, for attention. That's a really lovely, lovely thing. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. I really like playing with pattern with things like this. So having like the double, you know, instead of separating these out, having them just be doubled together and creating that little pattern and then doing that.
Repetition and patterns is such a strong element of design, and that anyone who wants to have successful designing, that is many of the things you're playing with. You're playing with texture and color, you're playing with balance, but you're playing with repetition and patterns. And you tend to work symmetrically most of the time. I'm asymmetrical because I'm chaos neutral. But I love like putting offset things, but even when I do an asymmetrical design, I'm always striving for the balance, just like a symmetrical design. You're trying to have things that work with each other so that you feel like a certain amount of happiness when you see it, because things are where they ought to be. You know, so however you do that, whether symmetrically or asymmetrically, repetitiveness is one of the ways to achieve that. because it's like, ooh, I feel comfortable. This blue is here and it's there and it's there. These are going this way and now that way. So those things really make for a strong composition, I think.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of texture too. And so even though I love these flowers as flowers, when you put them like this, they feel more like a geometric texture.
Yeah, they stop being flowers, don't they? And they be something else, which is cool. I really love that.
Thank you.
I love things that are different than you expect, and you kind of have to look at them twice and then be like, oh, hey, that's that thing. Yeah.
So I probably won't finish this on camera, but what I'm thinking is adding these great little rings here.
I like that, because that echoes back to the silver at the bottom as the silver silk would, and you're repeating the silver color. And if you'll notice, almost everybody sent circular items if they were doing a focal thing.
They did. Isn't that interesting? They were so
more.
That is why my initial thing was to kind of do this, and I even tried it with the little button too, because I really liked that circle feel.
Right.
But that was kind of fun
to repeat patterns like that. You need enough difference for it to be visually interesting, but you need enough sameness for it to be visually comfortable. So whenever you can get both of those in the same design, I think you're doing well.
So this design could be shorter, but this bead is so large. It's really a hefty bead that I think I'm going to want it to lay a little bit lower on my neck.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm adding these little rings here, and then I can play with the silver silk in the back.
I love the silver silk because then you're just switching up the texture, and I think that sets it off in a really nifty way. Yeah.
So fun. Oh, this has been such a great conversation today, Miss Christi.
Really enjoyed this. It's funny, like we were talking, my initial reaction is like, oh no, how do I do what I'm supposed to do for the group? And my second reaction is, screw that. How do I make it interesting?
How do we make this? How do we make it work?
And this actually, to me, has been super satisfying, because one of the things I think that many people have vocalized that they don't get enough of is walking through the process of the decision making that design and composition require. Because I can follow a pattern, I can do what you're doing, but how do I see it for myself? And I think this is a really fun hour of us kind of breaking it down, how we each see things, how our brain works, and how we make our choices. I think that's valuable to kind of get a little glimpse into the heads of people who design things that you like. And obviously, that's all of us in this group. We're all wonderful designers, I think. So kind of seeing that process is what the bead trade's all about, because people are talking it through as they make things and why they chose some beads and not other beads from the kit. It's very, very exciting, I think.
Yes, someone says here, Suzanne says, love looking into your heads. It was a peek into our heads today.
Sorry, I didn't clean up that one corner. Sorry about that. Okay, can I make a little comment on what I'm seeing here? One of the things I've been thinking about a lot is that we like to wear jewelry, but I think our houses and our places of living should also be wearing jewelry more often. So to me, if you put a tiny little pin at the wall so that just looped in some cute little area where that was just now a wall necklace. So the little teeny pins, and it just looped, ding, ding. Wouldn't that be cute?
That would be really cute. Or you can even get, if you wanted to do like a little shadow box or something, and get it in there.
The bottom of a frame, turning around a little vase that you put flowers in, like other ways to use our jewelry besides just on our bodies, because there's only so many jewelry you can wear. And then we have all these beautiful pieces. Like, I think
should speak for yourself, Miss Christi.
Have you ever heard of layering? Come on.
Oh my gosh. It's funny because I very rarely leave the house, but yet I wear so much jewelry, right?
Well, that's the joy of being on social media, because it's like you get to dress up even though you're not going outside. You can have different rings on. And I say, let's just bring back tiaras, because that's like a whole nother area where things be in your face head area.
That's right. Sue says that was true. There was a video where we were talking about fridge beads, because Sam was on there. I guess he was wearing a magnetic bracelet or something that got stuck to his fridge. And Then we were joking about how that's like a new trend, like fridge jewelry for your fridge.
See, I think we could make that trend be popular. I really do.
I know.
I like that. That's awesome.
Someone was asking, I missed the comment, but I saw it, but I didn't catch it, who it was, but you were wondering where this came from. And this is from Jill McKay. So you can go find
I think we mentioned it, but very briefly, and we got yammering. So yeah, Jill.
Yeah. So go check out.
Shout out everybody who had stuff in the kit. Was there anybody?
Yeah. Is there anyone I missed?
I want to make sure we didn't miss anybody because it's all been such good stuff. And there's so much stuff to make with it. Like from a aesthetic assemblage standpoint, which is me, I am just going to put all those little bits and pieces in everything. So I'm excited.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God. So fun. This is from Christy over here. This is great. This little mix of check glass without the flowers are from Softflex Company.
Yeah. Along with the wire. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, let me go and actually share, because everyone's having an offer right now. The TGBT is the coupon code. Yeah. Use that coupon code this weekend when you're shopping from all of the presenters, and you will be entered to win one of these kits. So we have 4 extra of these exact kits that we just opened today. You can win one. All you have to do is just shop with one of us. If you shop with more than one of us,
code works for each of the people listed there.
Yep, TGBT, that coupon code. And if you shop from more than one, you'll get entered into multiple drawings for it.
Make it a personal goal to shop from every one of them.
Right? Go check every one of them out. I'm sure you will find something.
Oh yeah, be sure to get every single one. And then you win a special prize of good feelings.
Yeah. Well, when you get all your packages, that's like a whole new gift to yourself again, isn't it?
The time when you shop for beads. I'm going to just barge in real quick. So sorry. And just mention the Creative Nurture Day that one of my pals mentioned. That's a little one-day only event I have coming up at the end of the month on the 28th. And what we do there is we don't concentrate on new projects. We concentrate on a day set aside to create together. And I forget, it's like $35, $40, something like that. You can find it on my site. And I think the coupon code will work for that. And there's a few kits for that. So if you want to grab one before they're gone, you can also use the coupon code. But it's just a way for us to get together. I have multiple live chats during the day, and we go over some of these things that nurture our creativity. So if you're interested, go check it out and you can see about it. But anyway, thanks, Kristen. I just wanted to shove that in.
Yes, for sure. Pixie is here. She said she is going to be awesome.
Yay, Pixie. And I love that. It is awesome, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you. There it is. Thanks,
Yay. So, we went over our time a little bit. We have to get going because we got
other people following behind us. Thank you for letting us barge in with a commercial at the very end.
Oh, yes. We love it. Of course. Creative Nurturing Day is exactly what we were talking about today. So it makes
complete sense. Just weasel that in during the time that we were talking about it and forgot, and then it suddenly hit me. But I've really enjoyed spending time with you, Kristen. You are always a hoot. And I think this has been really fun for me, and I'm sure fun for other people watching. So thank you. Everybody.
Right back at you. I knew it was going to be a lot of laughs and a really great chat. So I really loved where we ended up and all the fun things we got to talk about with everybody today. I'll finish up my design and I'll share it in the Great Bead Extravaganza group. And so you can see what I ended up doing. I think I'm just going to add some silver silk in the end, and we'll be all set.
Yep. And I'll do the same when I get back home and make a few things. I'll post them up there and follow up. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yay. Well, thanks so much for being here, Christy. And thanks for making it work and rolling with it.
Thanks for not minding me throwing complete wrench into the system. It works actually. So we're looking at a different perspective. That's what we did.
Exactly. We are all here to hang a little upside down and have a whole different perspective. We're just monkeying around. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye.